all that interesting, fun stuff aside. All right, so we're going to talk about week 2. Okay, guys, week 2 college picks. Week 1 review. Where we were right, where we were wrong. Obviously, we were wrong. As it says on screen, Oregon versus Auburn. We took Oregon plus 3.5. Felt like that was a really good pick. They almost hung on. Auburn just came back right there at the tail end and took that one away from us, or we would have been 4-0. Where we were right, Texas versus Louisiana Tech. We took UT at minus 20.5. Baylor versus Stephen F. Austin. We took Stephen F. Austin to cover 43 points, which is an insane amount of points for a week 1 game. And then we took Houston versus Oklahoma at plus 23. The most confident one I was out of all three of those probably was Texas versus Louisiana Tech. Only 3 touchdown favorites at home. Um, really wasn't sure what the deal was with the line there. But we took that 3-1 against the spread in week 1. Coming up week 2, a bunch of games we're hyped about, especially 2 that we'll talk about at the end. To start off, though, Cincinnati at Ohio State. Ohio State's giving 17 points at home, but they're at home. That's the big thing. Cincinnati, I have no idea where they're at. Ohio State's going to have to really show out and prove this year that they belong. They want to get back in that national championship conversation. I expect them to come out and blow the brakes off Cincinnati. That's one we're going to look at. Army at Michigan, very interesting pick. A lot of points being given up at Michigan, 22.5. Army plays more of a slowed down, type of football. Very interesting game there. Don't think the 22.5 points is going to be too much for Michigan to handle, but still, it's an interesting game. We'll see how that one plays out. Michigan at home though probably will cover that 22.5. West Virginia team headed the wrong direction. Missouri minus 13.5 at home. SEC versus Big 12 team. West Virginia. I just don't feel like within the last couple of years, I feel like their football program is going the wrong way. Dana Holgerson has moved on to Houston, and obviously is doing a decent job there as they hung pretty tough with a big Oklahoma game last night. I really feel like Missouri, though, 2 touchdown favorites, almost 13.5 points. I feel like is easy for them to take a 2 touchdown favorite victory at home. I really feel like that's a pretty solid pick there. Texas A&M at Clemson is a very interesting one because Texas A&M is ranked 12th. How a team that finishes the way that they did last year gets preseason ranking of 12 is beyond me. I do not feel like they're deserving of that preseason ranking. I never do because I hate Texas A&M with a passion. But the bias aside, I still feel like they're overrated based off of what they did last year. I do not feel like they're ready for a game on this big of a stage. Clemson has been there, done that, proven it over and over and over and over again, and they have a Heisman candidate in Trevor Lawrence, who I feel like is going to just air the ball out the entire game. It's at Clemson, 17 points. I feel like that's a pretty easy, solid 20 point to 24 point, somewhere in that range win for Clemson at home. University of Texas San Antonio at Baylor. And this is another time where you will not see the bias in this. I'm wearing the hat, yes. The picture's on the screen, yes. But Baylor's 1-11, 1 win, 11 losses with 1 push the last 13 times that they have been double-digit favorites against the spread. They do not cover the spread ever. So when it comes to that, my betting sense tells me that I definitely need to be pushing to bet on University of Texas San Antonio in this game. Baylor's probably not going to outscore them by 30. Just don't see it when it comes to looking at trends. However, no idea the type of team that University of Texas San Antonio has this year. I do know what I saw from Baylor last week against Stephen F. Austin. And from my understanding, University of Texas San Antonio is a better football team. So I feel like they keep this game a little bit closer than that 27 points. LSU, number 6, number 10 Texas. Huge top 10 matchup early on in the year. LSU is on the road, no less miles. Texas is at home. Year 2 or 3, I believe, with Tom Herman. Maybe year 3. They finished the year off last year, I believe, 10-2. Now they had some close calls in those games, but they still were able to come out on top. I've got to go Texas because it's at home. They're only giving up. They're getting 4.5 points. I could see them losing by 3, or I could also see them winning the game outright. I feel like that the smart way to go here is to bet on Texas with that game. Miami at North Carolina. North Carolina coming off of a huge win. Miami coming off of a disappointing and probably really angering loss against a rival. I could see Miami coming out there and trying to just absolutely just hammer North Carolina. They're less than a touchdown favorite on the road. I think you can feel pretty confident taking Miami in this game. And then Stanford at USC is one that I don't have a line on yet. Stanford had its quarterback get hurt in the game, whether it was a concussion or just some type of neck injury, head injury. It was minor. I'm not sure. I haven't had enough time to go into all the research that's necessary for that one, but I do know that USC's quarterback is out for the year. And that's going to be a huge blow for them, having a guy that they thought was going to be the starter for the year, no longer going to be available whatsoever. Might be deflating, but that's an interesting. It's a very, very interesting Pac-12 matchup to keep an eye on in Week 2. But going into Week 2, really excited. Hopefully I won't take all of these games. Obviously, I'm not going to take action on all of them. I'll probably take the 3 to 4, somewhere in that range that I'm most confident on, that I feel the best about, which at the moment are Ohio State, Clemson, Texas, and the Baylor games. Those 4 games are the ones that I probably feel the most confident in. Those are the ones I'm probably going to probably end up pulling the trigger on, depending on where the lines move. Unless I have a line that I think early on is just really good, I'm not going to take early action. The one that I probably would, if I were to pull the trigger at this point, would be West Virginia and Missouri, because the line opened at 13.5, and I feel like 2 touchdowns is good. I feel like that line's going to go up. I really do. I feel like it's going to be minus 14, minus 14.5, maybe up to even minus 15. Closer to the end of the week in that contest, as people see that 13.5 and are betting money on that side, and then as that money continues to go up, then West Virginia becomes a little bit better of a bet. That's just my feeling this week. But we will see you guys a little bit closer to the end of the week, more than likely Friday evening, maybe early Saturday morning, and we will re-go over all of these games for tonight. This is a freebie. Okay, this is a freebie tonight. You have Notre Dame, Louisville, kicks off in 5 minutes, guys. The line, I believe, is 18.5. I believe the line is 18.5. Let me double check that to make sure. Don't want to steer you guys wrong. Let's check it out right here online really quickly. Let's make sure we find the right thing here. College football. You've got Notre Dame, Louisville. The line has moved to minus 19 for Notre Dame. I believe I took this action at minus 18 or minus 18.5 for Notre Dame. The only reason that I didn't want to, I put a very small amount on this game, was not that confident in the pick whatsoever, because I believe it is at Louisville. I believe it is at Cardinal Stadium. And guys, I got to tell you, that's one of the main things I look at is home field advantage. When I'm evaluating picks, when I'm deciding, how I'm going to, possibly make a move on something. And for me, 19 points is a lot of points in a big contest like this. I will say though, Notre Dame again has a lot to prove after last year. I feel like they're going to go in there and try to run the score up if they get ahead. So I took them at 18.5. It's at minus 19 right now. I feel like that's probably the best place to go. Man, you guys have a great night. Enjoy the game. And I will see you guys later in the week to evaluate these games as the lines move, and we will see what happens. Until next time, this has been the Big 12 Big 12 Informer, and we will see you guys on Friday. Have a good night.